This episode of WDW Today is brought to you by All Star Vacation Homes. So if you're planning a vacation to Orlando, a family vacation, I think you should check out All Star Vacation Homes because they may offer you the perfect vacation accommodations. Their 5-star vacation rental homes feature top amenities like spacious pool decks, larger pools and spas, gourmet kitchens, high-speed internet, multiple master suites, and in-house entertainment, including Mike Newell authorized game rooms and home theaters. So before you book your next Orlando vacation, be sure to check out www.allstarvacationhomes.com, and you may discover that hospitality has a new home.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Friday, February 13th, 2009, and this is episode 526 of WDW Today. I'm your host, Mike Scopa from allears.net. With me on the show today is co-author of the unofficial guide to Walt Disney World, the man behind the curtain at touringplans.com, and our choice as the next American Idol, Len Testa. Welcome to the show, Len.
Thanks, Mike.
Also on the show, we have the beautiful and talented Mike Newell, the director of those Harry Potter... Oh, no, wait.
No,
Wrong
please.
Newell. Mike Newell of Mouse World Radio. Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Mike, it is so nice to hear your voice hosting tonight.
Yeah, it's just, it's just a nice feeling in the air.
Yes,
you know?
I have a good feeling about tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I'm in a spa, you know? A spa.
A spa.
A spar?
S-P-A-R.
A spa. Shades of Magic Meets. Matt and Annette cannot be with us today, so we have asked Michelle Scribner-McLean, a senior feature writer at allears.net and sort of my next-door neighbor, to join us today. Thanks for joining us, Michelle.
Oh, you're welcome. And I was wondering if you guys would all be my Valentines.
Aww.
Does this go along with the conversation we were having earlier? That's awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, okay, sure.
Okay.
Lynn sounds like he's
deal.
blushing.
Like Lionel Richie, I'm easy. I'm easy like Sunday morning.
Oh, God. So today we thought we'd talk a little bit about what we would call failed attractions. And by that we mean those attractions or promotions that have taken place in Walt Disney World and which, in our opinions, just did not measure up. And before we get started, I guess I'd like to ask everyone to maybe we should come up with a definition of what we feel would be a failed attraction or a failed promotion. Does anybody want to take a stab at this before we start talking about those specific attractions that we're thinking about?
So I would say it's either a heavily hyped or headliner attraction that did not meet expectations, or an attraction that Disney probably thought was going to be around for many, many years that ended up not being around for many, many, many years.
Okay.
I don't know what do you think.
That sounds good. Something that they really put a lot of design work in. They threw a lot of money in, and just for some reason, it just didn't last. Do we want to define how many years would be accepted?
I think anything less than 10 would be unusual, right? I mean, most of the stuff in the Magic Kingdom, or most of the stuff in the parks, 10 years sort of a 10 years is sort of a minimum.
Okay. Anybody else want to chime in with that? Everybody okay with something like that?
Well, I would
Michelle?
say probably goes along with what you were saying, Len, and one of the indications would be low attendance. And then my other definition is something that really doesn't seem to fit the Disney mold in terms of being family friendly or
right.
Maybe doesn't meet the needs of the general population.
Good point.
Okay,
So,
sounds good.
are we limiting it to just attractions, or can we do other things?
We could do anything that's associated with Walt Disney World. That would be promotions, parades, fireworks, nighttime spectaculars, any kind of promotions or attractions.
I guess the website doesn't really count because they've gone through 3 versions.
Oh my God, no! That website would be right at the top of my list. So,
Right. Okay. All right, cool.
yeah. So let's see. We're gonna let our guest Michelle go first with whatever she would like to submit
Sure.
as a failed attraction.
I have 2, but my first one would be Alien Encounter. And Alien Encounter, what I think is a failed attraction because when I first went into it with my son, who was about 8 at the time, I was just completely freaked out on his behalf. And to me, it didn't seem, although I thought it was really interesting and cool in a lot of ways, it didn't seem to me to be something that everybody in the family could go into and enjoy without being, I think a lot of people were very frightened by it. And I think that it just didn't seem to have that Disney-friendly sort of appeal. It seemed to me that it would be something more that I would find at Universal Studios rather than Disney. So I think probably a lot of people felt that way too, and that's the reason that it was retooled into something that may also be a failed attraction, Stitch. So
Yeah, we Len and I and Brian Bennett and a few others. Kenny Cottrell might have been there. I forget Len who was there. We did Stitch's Great Escape, and we had the same reaction. And I remember, I think I had a conversation with Jim Hill about how that particular building, the infrastructure limits them to what they can put in there, and it may be one of those buildings where they really need to gut it out so they can really put something that would have some merit in there. I think you're right, Michelle. I think that Stitch's Great Escape is also a failed attraction too, and it could very well be that building that's limiting them to what they can put in there.
Yeah,
Go ahead,
for our listeners who never experienced Alien Encounter and who haven't experienced Stitch, one of the interesting operating practices of Alien Encounter was that once these shoulder harnesses descended on you to provide surround sound around your ears and sort of hold you in place and to keep you from getting up to walk around in the dark, it also meant that parents couldn't get up to comfort their children.
That's right. That's a good point. That's a great point.
Who started screaming once the lights went off and this monster escaped from.
Do you remember, Len, when we saw Stitch's Great Escape that day? It was you, me, Rob, I think was with us, and we heard kids screaming, and we're looking at each other. This is kid friendly. When you see this 6-foot Stitch, it's a monster up there, and we can hear kids screaming, and uh-oh.
Well,
compared to Alien Encounter, it's kid friendly.
Yeah,
it's much more kid friendly.
So it was like going from an R-rated film to a PG-13 film, and I think finally they've kind of toned it down to, PG. The original version of Stitch even was much darker. There were fewer lights on, and it was much louder and more intense. It was closer to Alien Encounter than Peter Pan's Flight or anything like that. But the funny thing to me was always walking in and looking around and trying to pick out the kids that would be leaving early, like Screaming Kid Bingo.
I can tell you, Len, that when Mike and I, my son Mike and I, would go in there, what we would do is when the harness would come down, I said to Mike, what we're going to do is we're going to sit on our hands and we're going to sit up really straight. So the harness came down. It never really pinned us in. So that allowed us to reach across in front of us. If there was someone in front of us who we thought that was really going to be scared, we could actually grab them on the shoulder and really give them a scare. And I fought that really, really hard.
This is a side of you that I've never seen, Mike Scopa.
Mischievous Mike Scopa.
Wandering around attractions, scaring people even more.
I'll teach you to bring that young kid in here. Boom.
Exactly. There's some 6-year-old going, I swear he jumped on me, he grabbed me, and the mom's like, don't lie to me.
All right.
So that's who was breathing on my neck during that attraction.
Exactly. That's who was burping the hot dog smell, the chili dog.
I'm gonna switch gears. I'm gonna ask Mike Newell to come up with one now.
I actually had a hard time. I was thinking about this on the way home from work. I really had a hard time picking one out, but I think the one that most stands out to me is Sounds Dangerous over at the studios.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
When it's easy to put up a film and just let the audience do nothing but listen, because I would say 75% of the film is in the dark anyway. It's just pitch black. Just only the opening and the closing is actually filmed. The rest of it is just you're supposed to leave to your imagination. Right. Drew Carey's still there. I mean, the fact that it's seasonal now is a fact to me that it's not doing well. The fact that Drew Carey's in it, and where Drew Carey might have been a draw 10 years ago when he was really big on ABC, and now what does he do now? But The Price is Right. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to do it as much. And the thing that I didn't like about it is it replaced the Monster Sound Show which I enjoyed because that was audience participation and interaction. You know, they would bring up guests to participate in making Foley. They would become Foley artists, and they would provide the sounds to a film with Chevy Chase and Martin Short, and you got to interact while they made the film. Then you actually watched the film with the sounds that the audience put in, and it was a little interactive. It was a lot of fun. It was a lot of laughs. Whereas the Monster Sounds Dangerous, it is a chuckle here and there maybe, but for the most part, it really does nothing anymore. It didn't when it first opened, and it still doesn't now.
Yeah,
it's one of those. It's one of those attractions I think where they didn't do as well the second time as they did the first, so they learned nothing. I mean, Mike, to your point, there's no. They took out audience participation and interactivity, and replaced it with a film in the dark. Ooh, how imaginative!
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I actually like Doug Live. Doug Live. Was Doug Live on there?
No, wasn't that in
that was Playhouse.
That was in Playhouse. No.
No, Superstar Television, wasn't that?
Superstar Television. Oh, was it?
Yeah.
Or was it? Well, yeah. Anyways,
I think I knew something about the studios.
Yeah, that's true.
If anyone knows anything about the studios, like to host a podcast, let us know.
Pompous. Oh, never mind.
No.
Ooh. All right, Len, you're up.
I would have to say it's the second version of Journey into Imagination.
Wow. Yes.
Yeah.
Very good.
That's a good one.
Where just like the replacement of Monster Soundstage, you, the first time you ride it, you think to yourself, what were they thinking here? Because it wasn't the first version was classic art department Disney. It wasn't high tech Imagineering that made the ride great. It was the fact that there were a million little details there that you could ride over and over again and always see something new. That and some of the effects, the interactive games at the end of the ride, or some of the interactive exhibits at the end of the ride, were just fabulous in their in what you could do with them, and then their simplicity. You guys remember going through the Rainbow Light Tunnel?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
And then remember they would project on the floor little squares of light, and you would jump on the lights.
Yes.
And it would noise. When I was a kid, I thought that along with staying at the Contemporary, if I ever grew up, I would have a room in my house that did exactly that. And the other thing remember the thing where and they have it in the new version too, but where you would wave your hands and the tones would
music.
Right.
Yeah, the music changed.
Not as good as the first one.
Right, the one that they have now is not as good as the first one, which is something to say, that because that technology that they installed is going on 25 years old.
Mm-hmm.
And they did it right the first time. And I don't know if it was if they thought it was outdated or a corny idea or something, but to me that was the kind of thing that Disney showed that they were thinking of, thinking way ahead.
Yeah. Yeah, just too bad. Too bad.
I agree with Len,
that
though.
one.
Totally on that.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah. If I was going to submit one, I would submit one that has recently been there, and from the first day I experienced it, I thought something's missing, and it's the Princess and Pirates Party. The problem I had with it is that I just could not connect the two. I could not connect why a princess and a pirate, because Pirates of the Caribbean, there were no princesses as far as I was concerned. And when I watched the parade, I couldn't really get an idea as to what they were. It sounded like it was bad wedding music. I just couldn't figure it out. The party was a little bit like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. There were a couple of things going on that just didn't hit the spot with me. I almost belted one cast member who snuck up behind me and yelled "Arr!" I just couldn't get it. Carol, I wheeled around. You don't do that to me. It was just a really, really bad experience, and I really didn't think that it would last long. And what was funny was that last August when Carol and I went to Disney World and we were there for one of the Princess and Pirate parties, I can remember going to Pirates of the Caribbean, which you would think would be the most popular of all the attractions. And we went there 5 or 6 times, and at least 4 or 5 times we had the boat all to ourselves. And I can remember asking the cast member, wouldn't you think that your attraction would be the most popular one on these party nights? He said, well, we thought, but it's not working that way. And I also recall last year at one point, Matt had mentioned to us that he was in the park, and who is this guy, Matt? And he said that he had been given free tickets by someone at City Hall. So they knew that there was a problem with that parade. So I think that was a failed attraction.
The only thing I would say is that I thought it was fabulous because no one ever showed up for Pirates and Princess parties. I thought it was a great value, and I think we said as much on the podcast. I would take exception to saying in Pirates of the Caribbean there are no princesses because Keira Knightley can be my princess anytime.
Oh God!
Oh God! Let's see. I'm gonna take a shot. We'll go around again, see if anybody has any more. Michelle, would you like to?
Sure. I actually only saw this one once, and I think it is popular with some people, but it just didn't do it for me. It was Tarzan Rocks. Did not like Tarzan Rocks. I like a lot of the stage shows, but the first time I went in there, it happened to be with my other son, and I didn't realize that it was pretty much a rock show, and the loud music. He just said, "Oh, we need to get out of here."
I mean, it was Phil Collins 10 years after Phil Collins was popular.
Right. And as much as I love to see the guys in the loincloths, it just didn't do it for me. So we didn't even make it through the whole show, probably about half of it. So that was mine. And I love Finding Nemo the musical, the way they use that space now. So I'll see that over and over again.
Mr. Newell.
I was going to pick one more attraction, but instead I'm going to go with a whole group, and I'm going to say Dino Land over at the Animal Kingdom. Yeah. We've touched on this, in other shows, I know, and it's just, I was with Len and his family there back in May, and that was the only time I had ever spent any time there. Anytime I gone to the Animal Kingdom, and I've been to the Animal Kingdom.
Do I get to write you off as a deduction for that trip?
We had a good time that day.
It was fun.
But not at Dino Land. It was just, I can have the same thing at my county fair. And I kept saying, why, I'm an AP holder. Why am I here? I should be over at Expedition Everest or something else that I would have a lot more fun at. And to me, that whole area is just a wasteland.
It's also really uncomfortable, too, because it's all asphalt and you're right out in the open sun, and it's just not comfortable to be there.
I totally agree. It's all open. There's really nowhere to escape the heat if you're in there in the middle of the summer, and it's just not pleasant. And it's loud, and it's, I think it's intrusive because all the cast members are trying to get you to win those stuffed animal prizes. Yeah, and it's, I don't know. It's just.
Speaking of which, who has the animals that we won? Because remember, I think everyone won prizes for Hannah.
Yeah, Matt has them. He was supposed to mail them to you.
He never did.
No.
That's another reason why I hate Hodgepark. Oh, I hope he's not listening to this show.
He doesn't listen to podcasts.
He doesn't listen to the show.
He's rubbing elbows with all the big American Idol stars tonight. So.
Yeah, it's fine.
He was saving them for birthday gifts for Marissa.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what he's giving her for Valentine's Day? I totally know.
A big purple elephant.
Exactly. I would say that the one that I would say it's not really an attraction, it's a restaurant, and they could have done a whole lot more with it. Is the Tomorrowland Noodle Station?
Oh my God, yes.
Yeah.
It's a great concept. I mean, Asian food is something that, or ethnic food in general, is something that is sorely lacking in the Magic Kingdom. And I'm not saying that it needs to be ethnic in the way that Epcot needs to be ethnic, but in terms of variety, the Magic Kingdom is definitely lacking in that area. And it would have been great to have it work out, especially in the colder months. A cup of soup, Japanese or Asian soup, is really great. And there are a couple of dishes there that you can do that are very, very healthy and vegetarian.
Yeah, I was going to say that was one of our little safe spots in the Magic Kingdom because there's not a lot of great vegetarian food there. So
it's not like they can't do it. I don't know if they just didn't they didn't have the will to make it succeed, right? I mean, Disney certainly has the money and they have the expertise. They could do it. They just didn't have the will to get it done, and that's the sad part. Like, it's not that I applaud Disney for trying stuff that even if it occasionally doesn't work. Like Interventions, which I love the idea of, even if some of the concepts aren't great. It's when they lack the will to follow through on something that just drives me up the wall. You know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, they have the capital, they have the brain power, they have all the creativity to do a great job, and there are times when you think, well, wait a minute, why did they spend like 50% of what they had on this? Why couldn't they do it the way we expect them to do it? What they had established as a precedent, and that bothers me too, Len. I think you're absolutely right.
Exactly.
I think you're absolutely right. The one that I was thinking of, I had several in mind, but I think I'm going to say that I'm very, very disappointed, and I think that they failed when they put in a Tutu Italia.
Really?
Yeah. It's bad. I can tell you that speaking as a full-blooded Italian man, it's very difficult for any Italian restaurant to please me. But this one was a complete disappointment. I really think they need to shut it down, and I think they need to redo
seriously?
a whole bunch of
Wow.
stuff. Seriously, exactly.
Wow.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
I
think
enjoyed it.
you're going off the reservation here.
No,
But Mike's got a
I think
point,
that there are problems with the entrees. I think that the entrees are not as diversified as they should be. I think that the quality of the food is really bad. I think that
Really?
Len, come on,
You
know, go down to
Look.
Papagino's and the local
come down.
Papagino's.
Come down in March. We'll go back there a couple times. We'll try it again. Come down in March.
Well,
I'm telling you. Come on, Michelle, you too. Tell Andrew.
Okay.
It's
The guy,
just
that guy on the internet, he's offering you food.
I think it's a failure, and I think it's almost like I want to say I don't want to beat Nine Dragons. I already beat it up enough as it is, but I think that Tutu Italia could have been done better. I think it's a failed restaurant, so it's unfortunate. But I agree with most of what you guys said too on the other attractions. All right, that was pretty good. Thank you, everybody, for your contribution. And that's it for our show today, Friday the 13th. Again, this show has been sponsored by All Star Vacations. So if you're planning a family vacation to Orlando, check out All Star Vacation Homes. They may offer you the perfect vacation accommodation. They have 5-star vacation rental homes, and these homes feature top amenities like spacious pool decks, larger pools, spas, gourmet kitchens, high-speed internet, master suites, in-house entertainment, game rooms, home theaters. So I suggest you go over to www.allstarvacationhomes.com and see what they have. If you would like to check out our older episodes, please go to www.wdwtoday.com, and you'll find all our older episodes there. So, for Len Testa, Mike Newell, and Michelle Scribner-McLean, I'm Mike Scopa, and we'll see you on the next show.
Stupid Judy, stupid energy.
This has been a production of Mouse World Radio.